y'all. Welcome to the Honest to Goodness podcast,
where we give you our honest opinions
on good entertainment. I'm Morgan.
I'm Kerri.
I'm Nicole.
And without further ado,
here's today's episode.
We hope you enjoy. Hey everybody, welcome to the Honest to Goodness podcast, where we give you our honest opinions on good entertainment. I'm your host, Nicole, joined by my wonderful co-host, Kerri, to chat about When Calls the Heart, Season 11, Episode 10 and 11, What Goes Around and Run to You. Two very great episodes.
Very, very. Admittedly, I watched these out of order because I was out of town, so I didn't get a chance to watch Episode 10.
Yeah.
And I had just gotten back into town, and Morgan calls me screaming, going, "You got to watch episode 11."
Yeah. Oh my God. So good.
So fun.
Yeah.
Episodes have been... I was really glad that I got to watch episode 10, though. There was, I had a pretty good idea of everything that was going on, but
yeah.
Some stuff in there that I wasn't fully expecting, and it was really cool to see it all come together.
Yeah.
And lead up to episode 11, and then of course I rewatched episode 11.
Yes. I'm sure we'll talk about it when we get to episode 11, but how many times is too many times to watch that kiss?
I have no answer,
I can't even get podcast work done because I'm just literally watching it on loop. Okay. Anyway, yeah. Episode 10. Why don't we start with that?
Oh my gosh. So good. I will say, this was, and I talked last time about the fact that I didn't think they were going to do what they did with Allie, of Dylan refusing to see her. I did not think that was how it was going to go. So
I kind of called it.
Mm-hmm.
I think when we were talking about episode, what was it, 8 or was it 9?
I think it was 9.
I think it was 8, maybe, because that was before. We were talking about no, sorry, it was 9. It was 9. I'm sorry. Yeah.
All right. Well, not to be rude, but we do have a surprise guest coming on here. Somebody that has been on our podcast before, and it has been so long, and we're so excited to have her back.
I think this is the first time we've actually been on Honest to Goodness together.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
It really is. Okay, I'm trying to get to where I can see. Okay, there we go. I can see y'all both at the same time now. Nicole, are you shocked?
Yes. I told Kerri before you came on here, how many times is too many times to watch that kiss scene?
I've watched it.
I can't even get work done.
The word, yes, the kiss is it's spectacular. It's everything we needed. But the words, they're just engraving themselves into my little Heartie heart.
Yeah. I can't even get work done because I'm watching it on loop.
Oh my gosh, look, I understand. I have children. I'm like, sure, you can have that snack.
But anyway, why don't we get to episode 10 first? Because that's what we're talking about.
Yes.
I know.
Well, for anybody who doesn't know who we are talking to, because obviously we both are in a group chat with Amy.
Yes.
Uh-oh.
Oh no, Kerri.
Kerri, don't leave
This
us.
is our friend Amy of the Cross My Heartie Instagram.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Kerri,
you're frozen.
You're pulling a Morgan on us, and you're losing.
Did I freeze? I'm so sorry.
You did. No, don't be sorry. I just want to let you know that you did.
Oh, you're good. You're good. But yeah,
And I'm also the creator of y'all's like your what do you want to call it?
Logo.
Your
yes,
logo.
logo. Yes. So Amy is very, very in on us behind the scenes.
Right.
Yes.
But wow, this is only the second time you've actually got to come on, isn't it?
It's the second time. The last time I was on was somewhere in the middle of season 8. And I encourage you not to go watch that podcast episode if you didn't see it, because I was very, very confident in a Nathan, Elizabeth game.
I think it was.
Which we're getting.
Yes. I think it was after me. I think you came on after me during season 8.
I think so too. I mean, technically,
could
we say I was right? I don't know.
I came on for the Canfields episode, first episode, or Joseph's first episode.
Yeah,
I think.
Were they in season 8?
Yeah, the Canfields came in season 8.
That just shows. You're right. You're right.
Yeah.
That just shows how much our focus is a little bit skewed. So
yeah,
that's right. They've been here a while.
Yeah.
Okay, season 10. Once somebody started.
You mean episode 10?
Episode 10.
Episode 10. Sorry.
We're not going back to season 10. We're not going back to that.
We're going to be here a while.
Yeah. How about we start with Faith and Lily and the one scene with Mike and May? Or, the one big scene with Mike and May. Besides the I love you scene. Yeah.
All right.
We got Faith and Lily at the cafe with the Canfields. Of course, we hear Dora will be there the next day. And Lily wants to go to the infirmary instead of daycare, which I thought was really sweet.
Yes.
And also Joseph's quote, "Cherish the day, it's God's gift," which also reminded me of the theme of season 10, Seize the Day.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah.
Basically anything with Faith and Lily, I've really enjoyed. And I really have liked Mike and May too. In episode 10, episode 11, I like it. It's because I love Amanda Wong. Like, oh my God,
great.
I'm so glad she's on the show. And I love Ben, and I love Mike. I love his character. So anything to do with them, I'm all about. It's just like it's like, okay, like you're like, I can tell you're here to distract me. Like I can kind of tell they're here to distract me. But I love Faith and Lily. And that was perfect for Faith. Perfect for her. Like we haven't even seen her like playing doctor. We're seeing her in this new role, and I love it. And they were so clever on coming up with that storyline, whoever did, because that was exactly what she needed.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Yeah. The scene at the pharmacy / soda fountain when she's talking to Lily's stuffed dog, I believe Rufus, and she says, I told Rufus to remind you every day how much I love you.
Oh, so sweet.
Yeah. And Ned coming in there. I love how the whole town has just adopted Lily. Like, she's just,
me too.
Yeah.
They totally have. And I might be getting lost on, okay, when did Faith get the call in episode 9 or episode 10 from Grandma?
I think it was episode 9.
Okay, I guess I won't touch on it. It was just like I listened to the Deck the Hallmark podcast, and Dan, Dan, he's very he's Dan, and he's funny, and he's honest. He was like, Faith was so disappointed that she didn't die. I was like, Dan. I mean, he was just putting it out there like, oh, you're still alive? Like, I can't keep Lily because
oh my.
I know. Look, y'all don't have to laugh. I laugh. It's fine. It's like, okay. We all have our different humor.
Dan is Dan. It's okay. He
But
is a
the way
nice
they
guy. Yeah.
he is a very nice guy.
I met him at
He-
Rama Drama.
and he's adopted children of his own, so that's really cool.
Mhm.
But
I didn't miss that.
yes, so he had very big opinions about episode 10, and the way that Nathan handled it. He had, if anybody wants to go listen to Deck the
Yeah,
Hallmark
I'll
episode,
go listen. I haven't listened to any of their.
he's adopted children of his own, and so he has
Wow.
very different opinions about what
Hmm.
most of us would have. So it's just interesting.
That is interesting. Speaking of that, though, I was I was blown away that I really did not expect them to go the route of Dylan not wanting to see Holly.
Yeah. Yeah. Before we get to that, though, the scene at the cafe.
Yeah.
With Faith and Lily and Dora. Oh, Andrea. Well, they played that all beautifully, but Lily's face just broke my heart.
I know. And like Lily, whoever that little actress is, Chloe, she does a great job.
Mhm.
Andrea, though, like, she blew me away when she would like kneel down and she told Lily, like, your grandma says you can live here. Like, I don't know, something about that scene. I was like, yes, the scene was really touching, but I was like thinking about how good of acting she was doing. And so shout out to her. I just thought that was like, she did an incredible job.
Yeah, she did. Yeah. And I kind of called that they were going to go that route.
Yeah.
That's a check for me. A season 11 check.
I see what we're doing. I see what we're doing.
Maybe just go back to season 8 and go, yep, I called it.
Yeah, my check was back in season 8.
Oh, Lord. Anyway, Mike and May, just going to them for a few minutes. I won't go into too much depth, but I have to point out the scene because of Maisie. It was hilarious when, she came into the Queen of Hearts and she was talking to Mike and May. And at first it's about, the safety and the safety in town because of Montague's attack. And then they get into cooking and Maisie's like, how about dinner? 7:30 tomorrow? Okay, bye.
Yeah, can I just say, like, we can just go on the record saying Mike's family, other than his mom, she seems great. Maisie, she's growing on me, but I'm like, your family's a little strange, bro. Like, that was the weirdest, the way that his sisters walked in, that was strange.
Yeah.
And I'm like, but I understand they had to keep it short. So I think that was their way of cutting down conversation and still honing it into Mike and May. Yeah, Mike and May. Like, it was their way of doing that. It was just like, this is his sisters. Like, he's so normal.
Yeah. I do, of course, I love Mike and May, but the dinner scene and the I love yous and the kiss, it just felt a little out of place with everything else going on in the episode. Like, I felt like it took away a little bit, if that makes sense. Like, I think for me,
go ahead, Nicole. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
It's okay. No, the scene right before the dinner scene with Elizabeth, Nathan, Allie, and Jack. Like, the part when they say I love you, I just felt like that was a little misplaced. Like, it should have been in an earlier episode. Because I think it took away from really the main storyline of episode 10.
I agree with that. Yeah,
I still love Mike and May.
Same. Kerri, what are your thoughts on that?
I kind of agree. I agree but disagree in the sense of I agree with what you said earlier, Amy, if you feel like they're there to distract us. In a sense. I think we're just I think if we go back later and rewatch this season, that we won't feel so much that way. I think right now I'm so wanting these scenes that we're kind of like, okay, none of the rest of this matters right now. I just want that, whatever. So I think to go back and rewatch, just like season 2, just like season 8, just like season 2, just like season 8, to go back and rewatch it, I don't think it'll bother us as much as it does in the moment. And I could be totally wrong on that, but For me, I totally agree with you, Amy, that Mike's family is just
little too much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, he sounds like he came from such a normal, sisters, but and like I said, I really think it was just that they wanted to make it more about Mike and May with them kind of being in the background, but I really think that they could have made them look a little bit more normal. Like, people have actors can have like chatter conversations, and it wasn't even like that. It was just like they wanted them to look strange. So whatever.
Yeah.
Well,
I mean, see what you're saying.
It kind of explains why Mike is kind of the awkward personality that he is, in the sense of he's used to so much dysfunction over he doesn't know how to function in normal, like he's getting there, he's gaining the confidence and whatever.
That's a good point. That's a very good point. Yeah.
So what is our next scene, Nicole?
Do we want to move on to the investigation and the resort before we get too deep into Nathan and Elizabeth and Allie and Jack?
Fact that Rosemary almost gave up on the investigation.
Yeah.
Like, that came out of nowhere, because that is not the Rosemary we know.
No. I love when Bill comes over and, they're talking about it, and then he just walks out and she's like, "Where are you going?" He's like, "To think on it."
Yes.
To think about what we just talked about or whatever.
I know.
Exactly.
Oh my gosh.
I love how supportive Lee is of Rosemary. I love that, because that honestly is a true picture of, and they can only show us so much, but like that's a true picture of what like my marriage is like that, in a way, like where that's who I'm gonna mull things over with, like, you know what I mean? Like they're gonna know how I'm feeling at that moment, and they give their opinions, but they're also giving their support. Like, and if sometimes it's, they'll be honest, I don't know. I know they can only show us small bits, but just the small bits they have showed of Lee and Rosemary, like it's just, they are like, like they're just that, like that really solid marriage right now in Hope Valley, I love it.
Yeah, I love them. They're one of my favorite couples.
Agreed.
Yes. Lucas and Henry, we definitely need to touch on this a little bit. The talk before Jeanette gets there, when Lucas says she wasn't just beautiful, she existed on a plane above everyone else. I wanted that too. Everything comes at a price.
Wow. Go ahead, Kerri. I don't want to overtalk. You talk.
No, go.
I was just gonna say I can understand like exactly what he's saying, because, and I can't remember her name either, her actual name, but Jeanette, whoever plays Jeanette, like
Deacon.
Yes, I mean, just the way she has this air about her, this air of confidence, where, oh my gosh, like, so when he said that she existed on this plane, I mean, I'm like, yes, like that's what we've seen too. Like she is just somewhere that is not, like, she doesn't fit here in Hope Valley, basically. I mean, you know what I mean? Like she exists on some other level, which did we know what that was going to be, but still. So I was like, when he said that, hindsight, I was just like, yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Lee pulling out of the resort, of course, with Maisie, and Lucas calling him small-minded. I was like, Lucas, what are you doing?
I have always felt like there's just been something in this, which we've said for episodes, that there was no way the resort was going to happen. Like we've been saying,
everyone had forgot.
Yeah,
everyone knew it wasn't going to happen.
Yeah, but like that has concerned me, because I have felt like Lucas was hyper fixated on that one thing, and like that was his only that was his only way of fixing this problem. Like he couldn't think outside the box or something.
Which I will say, Capital City is what, like, they said it was a 17-hour train ride or 15. I think it was a 7.
Or was it 20? Was it 22 hours? Maybe I'm off on that.
Okay, we'll say 17 or higher.
Yeah,
hours. 17 or 22-hour train ride. And then you have the governor of who's in charge of that entire territory. And I get it. Like, they had to make it to, they had to keep him in Hope Valley. But there was just something a little funny about that whole thing to me, was that here the governor, and he's like, yeah, okay, like, I live in Texas. Like, yeah, I'm gonna build a resort in my hometown. Like, that's what I'm gonna do. It was just a little funny.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, Capital City is a 22-hour, 17-hour train ride away. It was like, man, there's a lot of other area, like, you know, like, are they wondering where you're at?
I think, as we hear in Sunday's episode, so episode 11, and we can touch on this a little bit when we get to episode 11, but Edwin was clouding his judgment too. And can we just talk about Edwin? What is the circulation of this rag?
I don't know.
Like,
I will say, okay, I watched, he's on another podcast with, I'm not even going to name it because she doesn't say the nicest things about.
I know who you're talking about.
But he was a guest on her podcast and it was delightful. And he was really, I enjoyed him a lot.
He's
the actor
fantastic. Eric Gow.
So cool. Yes, thank you. You're so good at names. I'm like, I came very unprepared.
Also, he followed the podcast yesterday or day before. I was like, what?
Oh,
really?
Awesome.
My
well,
podcast.
Shout out to him because he is so delightful. Like,
yes, he
truly,
is. He's a fantastic actor.
He really is. And like, they could not have picked a better person for that role.
No.
I agree.
So,
yeah.
But yeah, Edmund, I think everybody has been really like raising an eyebrow at his character, like, what are you about type of thing. So,
yeah, I am glad that it appears like he was not involved in Lucas's shooting.
I am too, because I could see where they could bring that up, but I was also like, no, I mean, that would be a little too obvious, maybe.
Yeah, he's just an opportunist.
And even though he did have his opinions, Lucas was still wearing the pants. Like, he was still fully in charge, which I loved. Like, I really do love seeing Lucas in this role. And we've seen so many different sides to Lucas. And we've seen a side, I mean, I don't want to play a comparison game, but like, when Nathan, after season, you know, he was hitting a lot of lows in season 8, and he hit some lows in season 9. We saw him hit some lows at the beginning of season 10. I mean, like, it's not that the writers don't care about these characters. They care immensely about them, but it's about depth. That's all it is. It's given some depth, but I think that Lucas, for the first time, like, we've seen him on such a deeper level. So kudos to the writers for bringing us there, you know?
Yes.
I agree.
I
don't remember the exact quote, but this just, like, it blows my mind. I know there are Team Lucas people out there that are not this way, but I remember it getting put in the group chat of basically Team Lucas just like complaining that Lucas had been knocked down so much this season, and all of us are sitting over here going, Nathan was literally, like, physically getting kicked while he was down, and y'all want to gripe because Lucas has had a couple of misses?
Over and over, down to, I mean, like, the first thing that pops in my mind that this was the worst of all was when Allie's adoption got ruined. Truly, like, that was supposed to be something special. It absolutely got drug through the mud. And then Elizabeth's character at that time, because that's when they thought she was, oh, we love her, and we love her in 8 and 9 and 10, whatever, 8 and 9. And that's when everyone else was kind of seeing just a new side of her that was like, because she went after Nathan, and you didn't know that she, like, accused him of being in on it, so it was like, so not only did the adoption get like kind of tainted, but she then accused him of something, and he got accused of a lot of things.
Yeah.
To this day, he's accused of things, and I think we're still going to get some clarification. I really hope we're going to get some clarification on. Nathan's not a liar. He's called a liar a lot, and I'm not okay with that. He's not a liar.
No, I think we will, and we can talk about it later when we get to episode 11.
In episode 11. But yeah, that just flashed through my mind of, like, because I agree, Amy, I'm loving seeing Lucas as governor. I'm loving seeing this depth of character for Chris McNally. I think it's allowing him to grow so much as an actor, and not just follow in Aaron's shadow in this show. And where Nathan has already had these seasons to build that up. Now Chris is now getting that opportunity.
Yeah. Just really briefly, the scene in episode 10 with Lucas and Jeanette, we should talk about when when he confronts her about her being at the shooting. That was a good scene.
Oh my gosh. Her face, she was shocked. I was like, when the first time he said you were there, and she was like, what do you mean, should he? It was like, she really didn't know what he was talking about. And then it took him, you were there when I got shot. And then you see her face drop. And I'm like, you must have had a lot of confidence, woman, to be, his memory could have came back at any time. And you were coming in there as Mrs. Shawshank Redemption, whatever, like, just without a fear in the world. I mean, they really made her a fearless character. Until last episode, until 11, when we see her breaking up. But
Shaw got interested in the resort as a way to launder money, which means he is behind the bid and had Montague eliminated to beat the competition. And,
which
of course,
yeah,
there will be consequences.
He was intimidated, and that was always unclear. For like, there was that scene a few episodes back when, like, it was Lucas and Henry, and they're trying to get bids, and they can't get any bids, and we were like, at the time, it just was like, what's the point of this episode? And then it even showed some other high-end man, like, who denied him and on the phone, but then it was like, okay, it's finally coming together where we're like seeing what's happening. But yeah, apparently, Jeanette was very powerful. Shaw was very powerful in influencing many people.
Yes. And really briefly too, before we get into Nathan, Elizabeth, Allie, and Jack, I really appreciated the scene when Lucas apologizes to Rosemary about, overreacting about the article. And he says, is it times like these when you realize who your true friends are? And then, the last scene of that episode is when Lucas takes Jeanette to the edge of town, says goodbye, and she says she was just looking out for him like she always does. And that shot, the end of the episode, that was brilliantly done by Siobhan Devine.
Yeah. It was really cool. I love that we're getting different shots. That's so true.
Yeah.
Because we need that. They're very limited on what they can work with, but like any little change up is good for us. Like we eat it up.
Every single flashback scene for Lucas has been impeccable. Like, it has been so brilliantly done, and I've loved it.
Yeah,
I agree.
Yeah, I agree.
So, Kerri, what do you think about that, the last what the little last bit that she was talking about with
Lucas and Jeanette.
Yes.
I think there is a fine line between love and hate, and you see both in Lucas's eyes when he's dealing with her. There is a side of him that still wants her, that is still that shiny object that like, you know, he keeps wanting to reach for that, but because he has grown as a person and become a better person, he knows what, just because it shimmers, it's not gold.
Okay, but I want to know what you think about him apologizing to Rosemary and stuff. Like, I'm curious, and I know y'all probably touched on this. He got really upset with her, and then it was like a quick apology. I don't know. What are your thoughts on that?
I'm glad he did it. I think that it was, I almost feel like there needs to be a little bit more thorough of a personal apology, not as the governor, but as a personal, hey, these are my friends, these are people that I've been living with, doing life with for several years now. I feel like there needs to be some mending of relationships there after all of this. And obviously we know that he cancels the resort, whatever. So to just kind of come to Lee, Rosemary, Henry, like all these people that have been, even Maisie, that have been being put through the ringer. Not so much Maisie because she's not part of Hope Valley, but like I feel like there needs to be some mending of relationships there and some trust built back, because I don't think, like Lee talked about how secretive everything was, and just kind of, you know, I think they need Lucas, and he even talks about, I don't remember if it's in episode 10 or 11, I think it's 10, could be 11, but when he's talking to Henry, and I think it's episode 11, when he basically says that we need to win their trust back, like we need to win the opinion of the people back, because they're going to look at this as a failure. I'm not living up to my promises, blah blah blah. So I think there's going to be a long road of that for Lucas. Maybe not a long road, but there's going to be a road of that for Lucas in season 12, and I'm looking forward to seeing that.
Yeah, me too.
Definitely, I agree.
Yes. Yeah. Nathan, Allie, Elizabeth, and Jack. How about that journal entry and seeing Nathan teach Jack how to ride? That was adorable. Although it wasn't long enough, in my opinion.
Yes.
It was too short.
I love in the family dinner scene when little Jack asks Nathan to give him another horse riding lesson.
The following day,
Yeah, but they say it's Bill's
turn.
Yeah. Like, but I love that we're seeing that relationship being built between Jack and Nathan. I think it's adorable.
Yeah, me too. I also love the journal entry, and I'll just read it because it is really beautiful. She says, "There's no denying it. My little boy is growing up with help from two very special people in our lives. Nathan and Bill are taking turns teaching Jack to ride. As much as I miss rocking him in my arms when he was tiny, I feel excited as every day he takes another step toward becoming who he's meant to be. But I know there will be growing pains too. As I've watched Nathan struggle with how to tell Allie the truth about her birth father, I've seen how, as much as it pains us, sometimes we have to let our children hurt to help them grow. As for Nathan and me, Allie needs him right now, which I completely understand. So for now, all I can do is be here for both of them." And I love how she used us and our children. That was total foreshadowing, so to speak.
The purpose. Yeah.
And
that it's already just completely intertwined. I mean, everything's already about the four of them.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, it's just about the four of them.
Yes. Yeah. I also love when... Sorry, go ahead, Gary.
I was just going to say, I love the conversation in Elizabeth and Rosemary when Rosemary tells her that Nathan needs her just as much as Allie does.
Yeah, me too.
True. I know.
I love when Elizabeth says, "Not too fast," and Jack says, "We got this, Mom," and Nathan's like, "Yeah, we got this."
Yes. That
I
is
know.
such a dad answer right there.
Yeah.
I know. And
Yeah,
some
we got
people
this,
might
Mom.
think it's corny, but it's like I was eating it up for sure.
Yeah, me too.
Mhm.
The scene at the school, Nathan carrying a box of notebooks equals the Notebook. One of the best rom-com / drama movies. Because they've got some drama in that movie, but one of the best rom-coms, I think, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Oh, it's a good movie.
Yeah.
Well, if you think about it, it's a story of, very similar thing where she,
Oh.
moved on and then
Yes. I'm totally with you on that. I'm so with you on that. There has been so many movies that have been popping in my mind, and this is just a quick sidetrack, but there's so many movies that have popped in my mind where I'm like, when people call this switch a retcon, I'm like, okay, so take Sweet Home Alabama, for example.
Another good one.
She's in, oh my gosh, literally one of my favorite movies ever to watch it. I've watched it 100 times. I could watch it 100 more.
Amazing. Yeah.
She's in a diamond ring store, and then the lights come on and he proposes and she says, yes, yes. And she's like, they're so in love. And then he calls her while she's out of town and she's like, I love you. I love you. I love you. Like that's in Sweet Home. But your heart, you can feel those things. You can love someone and have those feelings for someone, but the heart wants what it wants.
The heart wants what it wants.
Sometimes it has to be pushed into your face and you have to fall flat a few times for that to come to light. And there's so many movies, not just Hallmark movies with that follow that exact same line. So when people call this a retcon, I'm like, no. This is an ongoing show. Like there is no, you can't call it retcon. You just can't. Sorry.
Also, just really briefly, because you brought up Sweet Home Alabama, I gotta say it. Why do you want to marry me anyway? So I can kiss you anytime I want?
Oh, it's the best. It's the best movie, y'all. It's so good.
Somebody literally gave me that sign as a wedding gift, so I could kiss you anytime I want. Sign.
And then, like she says so many different things, even when she breaks up with Andrew at the wedding. Like that she made it to the wedding. And she says, the truth is I gave my heart away a long time ago. And I think like the same thing is you can compare that. There's so many different movies, and I would love to make a post about that soon. But
Green Gables, like so many.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. And so, there's just, you let things bury what's really planted in your heart. You let things kind of bury over it, whether it be fear or just you don't want to go back to the past, like all these different things. And but you could be missing out on the greatest love of your life. And so that's what we're seeing play out. I just say that.
Yeah, exactly. I agree. I mean, even just getting off track for a second, like for a split second, even in Signed, Sealed, Delivered, Oliver struggled a lot with abandonment up until the movie they got married, like the night before their wedding.
Wow.
Yeah. Exactly. Is there anything else that we need to talk about in episode 10, or can we move on to the good stuff?
Well, let's see. Sorry. It's okay. Well, of course, I loved the almost kiss in the school and then them getting interrupted. Opal's face was the best out of all of them. She was like,
I need to go back and work because I don't even know if I looked at Opal's face. I need to go back and watch that, but I loved that scene. And I don't care what any woman says, like you can be a feminist, whatever, but like a man helping you open a window, open a pickle jar, whatever. Like, yes, daddy.
And the romantic tension. And I love how he was like holding the window up and then and then the kids come in and he just lets the window go and it just falls.
Yeah.
also, I got to make this comparison. It was not mine, but I saw it on Twitter. Maybe you saw it too, Amy.
Probably.
About the window being open and shut. So in season 8, episode 2, I think it was one of the first scenes, and it's like storming outside and Elizabeth closes the window. And that was like, whoever posted this was comparing that to, or was saying that was symbolizing Elizabeth closing her heart off to Nathan. And then in this episode, she opens the window, so her heart is open.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, whether they meant it or not, like, we will take that analogy, because her heart was, we know her heart was closed off completely to the point it blinded her. So
yes. Also, the hand holding was really sweet. We don't have to go too much into detail, but that was.
Well, it's just nice to see Elizabeth
supporting him.
Be there for Nathan. Like, I think of season 8 when he put it, she said, I don't, she was like, I'm okay. And he comes and puts the blanket over her anyways. It was always him stepping up. And we are seeing Elizabeth step up in new ways that we've never seen before, ever. And right now. And that's what, to me, that's what happens when the underlying issue is addressed and opened. And I mean, that's why we're seeing her in this new light. We're seeing like just the most like open and vulnerable Elizabeth that we've ever seen.
Before we move on to 11, we have to talk about the scene when Nathan and Elizabeth, that one, and when they go to the prison. Oh, I can't watch that without crying.
Oh yeah,
Kevin and Allie were fantastic, and not that I mean, Elizabeth was there, but you almost forgot she was for just a second. But it was like after the fact, after rewatching, and I was like, oh yeah, like she got to witness this. I mean, like a father and daughter,
Yes.
I love I guess it's the next morning
the breakfast scene.
When Nathan actually sort of defends Dylan, which I thought was incredible of Nathan. But when he is telling Allie like he's missing out on the chance of a lifetime, and just starts talking about how incredible and brave and whatever that she is, and he said, "You get that from your mother?" And she said, "I don't know, that sounds a lot like my dad."
Yeah, he says
that's when I started. That's when my first tear came out, was when she said that. I don't know, it sounds a lot like my dad. And I was like physically affected by it.
Yeah.
It was so beautiful.
Yeah, he says, I didn't know Dylan that well, but he's a fool for throwing away his chance of being your dad, because his loss is my gain, because I don't want to imagine what my life would be like without you in it. Watching you grow up has been the greatest joy of my life. I'm so proud of how smart and thoughtful and fearless you are, and you get all of that from your mother. That sounds a lot like my dad. Forever. And he's wearing his Pa Ingle shirt.
Yes.
Kevin
looks beautiful at that table. I'll just say that. That morning sunlight was hitting him, and I'm just like, yes, it's so good.
Yes.
To you, not to spoil it, because we'll get to it in a minute, but to use some lines from episode 11, he looks distractingly good in Surge or in Suspenders. Yes.
It was distracting.
Words of our mouth.
We will talk about
distracting.
We will talk about that in just a little while.
But that scene, like, I feel like that was okay, like with everything we lost with their adoption, which should have really just been like that. It should have been that kind of scene where it was like they both just felt those types of emotions. It was like it made up for that. To me, it was a very good makeup scene, that breakfast scene at the table, because we got to see just how like ingrained they are with one another and in tune they are as a father-daughter relationship. And it's unfortunate. Yeah, it's unfortunate that her birth father he could be a part of her life, but I mean, you know, that's not Nathan's fault that he's like that. And so I think Nathan handled that well. I know, like I said, I had listened to another podcast and they thought he didn't handle that very well. And he should have never done X, Y, and Z, blah, blah, blah. And I was like thinking, I mean, he already knew these things about Allie's father. And that's just what it was. Yeah. I mean, he knew it. So
Kevin and Jada, they really deserve awards for their performance.
I bet you everything after that scene, I bet you people were clapping they probably started clapping for them in their little, you know, in the little row house. And like, I bet you it was a big deal, that scene. I bet you.
Yeah, I bet it was too. Episode 11. How about we talk about episode
11? Penultimate, baby.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes. Oh my God. Do we want to wrap up the investigation and Jeanette and Shaw first?
Sure, we can.
Yeah.
I'll say my first thing I want to say about that is I'm disappointed that Bill left Rosemary out, even though he was told to. I just am like, that was such a cool duo. They worked so hard together. So I hate that. Yeah. I wish I guess I don't have many bones to pick with this whole season. There's just a couple of them and I can laugh at them. They're not like big deals, but like they work, we got to see those two work together. And so I would have loved for them to somehow, like Bill and Rosemary, to be the ones to figure something out. You know, like Bill and Rosemary go to Randall Rockwell and they're like, let's talk about the source, you know, like, you know, something like that, where it was them who were initiating it. I just would have liked to have seen that. But the scene of Rosemary saying, like, yelling at Bill,
Bill, come over here. We need to.
She said, come talk to me.
Sassafras.
I love Pascal. Oh my gosh, I love her so much.
Yeah, me too.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
But just to watch them and to see that fire lit back in her, because obviously we had seen in episode 10 that she almost gave up on the investigation, and to just see that inquisitive Summer, and obviously Lee again being so supportive of her, and even Lee, you know, having his own questions with stuff and whatever, but just to watch the two of them, and it blows my mind. Amy, going back to what you said earlier about how Jeanette, it does seem like she's just like on this whole other plane, and she just has this confidence about her, and that's some guts, like for her to show up to Lucas after having been there when he got shot, and to keep showing up.
Yeah, he could have regained his memory at any time. Like, she just didn't care.
Yeah. Before we get too in depth on that, Edwin is leaving Hope Valley and taking an interview for a new position in Capital City. And I love what Henry says. You know, Henry's being snarky, and he's like, nothing personal about abandoning ship when water's coming over the side. And of course, Edwin believes Lucas didn't get the job done and thinks his approval rating is going to be rock bottom. And as Henry's walking away, he's like, until the voters say otherwise, you can still call him governor. I was like,
I know.
Yes,
I know. And then there's the part of me that's like, I'm thinking too realistic, and I'm like, well, he is only his main goal, his only goal as governor so far has been a resort just for a valley. when
Yes.
capital city, like I'm thinking of like capitals, like which is this huge city, like is 20, let's say 20-ish a train mile, 22-hour train right away. And I'm like, yeah, the voters, they actually might be having a problem with looking.
Yeah. But
in Lucas's defense, we have heard it mentioned of other projects he's had going on. This is just the only one that we've really seen anything about. Like we have,
it's the main. It's like the main event. Which, what else could they do? I mean, they were probably they wanted to give Lucas, and he was built for a bigger stage. So what could be that stage? You know what I mean? So it's not that I'm completely like, it's just something I chuckle about because
no, exactly. Well, I thought it was interesting that Edwin made the comment that let's face it, Lucas stopped listening to me a long time ago. You saw to that. And to Henry, and that Henry didn't even bat an eye. It's just kind of like he wasn't going to deny it. Like he knew Edwin was not the right person to have in Lucas.
Right. And he wasn't.
Yeah. And we did.
And he didn't shake his hand. Henry didn't shake his hand, which I respected. I'm like, hey, just because this is Hope Valley doesn't mean everything's all rainbows and unicorns. Like, they protect their own, and they know who's good for their friends and who's not. So I like that.
Agree. Yeah. And we did talk about this a little bit for episode 10, but just a round of applause to Eric once again for a great job.
Yes. Oh my gosh. If he ever sees her, he was perfect for that role. Like I could not imagine anyone else playing that role. And I bet they even tailored it to him. Like once he came in the picture, they probably tailored it to him.
Yeah. Yep. How about Randall and Rosemary working together? I'm not gonna lie, I actually did kind of like that.
I did too, until she pointed out, like, well, what about my family?
Yeah.
I was like, oh yeah, like I didn't even think about that. Like when all that got brought to light, I was like, that's like, you're not. Do you really care about her? Like, I couldn't tell.
Yeah.
He was using her. He was 100% using her, and that bothered me.
Yeah, it bothered me too.
Yeah. But like first of all, the actor they used for him is way younger than what I pictured his character to be. I don't know why. I mean, there's nothing wrong with it. It's just younger. But
he was in season 10.
To me, you could tell.
Yeah, he was.
To me, you could tell he was kind of kissing up to her in a sense of like, when they're talking to Lucas and he's like, talking about how much he's always admired her work and, blah, 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 and whatever. And it's kind of like, remember the scripture that talks about better are the kisses of a friend than the wounds of a friend than the kisses of an enemy. Like, that, I am not a big fan of his character. But I did think it was interesting to see them
working together.
Working together since she felt like Bill had abandoned her and whatever. But it also shows what you can get into when you try to go the easy route when things don't seem to be going your way.
Yeah. Right. Just really briefly, I have to point out Lucas's quote or line when Randall and Rosemary go to talk to him. He is like all in on the investigation's done, the case is closed for the shooting, and as he's walking away, he says the dark days are behind us, the best is yet to come. I can't help but think if that was maybe a subtle shout out to the dark days of When Closer Heart.
Maybe.
Yeah.
There's been a lot of call outs. There's been a few call outs.
Season 8.
Where I'm like, they're shout out to Suspenders Unbuttoned, because I'm like, y'all, I truly believe they have played a role in things that were put into the season. There's different words. I'm serious. I was like, I think they played a role, and I bet you they have fake accounts, the writers, and who knows, maybe even some of the actors on Instagram, and they are watching their live, the Suspenders Unbuttoned live after the show. I would not be surprised if that's going on.
Yeah.
I've always thought that because they're like probably excited to see their reaction, to like, just because they really do represent what so much of us feel on a lot of stuff. So, but I agree. Season 8, I think I told y'all, I tried to go back and watch it, and I got a little bit in and I was just like, I cannot do it. I'm still like, I can't do it right now. I don't think well, I just don't see the point. I don't know. I probably won't.
Yeah. The scene with Lucas and Jeanette, well, it was like spread out along the episode, but I think the part that I love the most is the last part of that scene when, she's saying, think of all the good you could do with that kind of money. Lucas doesn't want to do business with Shaw because it goes against everything he stands for. And she says, we could be anyone we want. And that is in reference to what he told her when they hit rock bottom in New Orleans. And Lucas says, what I want is to be a good man, an honest man. I'm not the person you used to know. I loved that line from
I do too.
Lucas.
So what I have seen, and I want like y'all's opinion on this, like Kerri and you, Nicole, like when I'm seeing a lot of stuff online right now and on another podcast where they're like, that doesn't make sense at all. Like there was no indication at all that he came from a shady past, and they've changed it to what they were catering to a certain audience. And there was no indication that he was shady at all and would do bad things to people ever. And I just want to know your opinion on that, Kerri.
What show have they been watching?
Exactly. Yeah.
I mean, I don't think Lucas would do bad things to people.
No.
I don't see him being the violent type, that would
not
get in
violent, but poker player, gambler, being a little bit manipulative to come out ahead.
Yeah. As far as being like an outlaw or anything like that, no, I don't see that. But we have seen from the time Lucas set foot in Hope Valley, he has always been the man of mystery, the man with the shady past that we knew nothing about, and whatever. So yeah, my question is, what show have they been watching? Because it's definitely not the same show I've been watching.
I don't know if we're gonna get it, but I still do want to know about the what's up with the fish money thing from season 6.
I don't know. I need to go back and do my research on that, but they still say that was completely clarified. That it is said from.
Maybe I would have to go back and
they
watch
say it's completely clear. That was completely clarified of what that was, and so maybe if they're saying that, I would have to go back and look back.
Yeah,
and
me
see.
too. I might have missed something.
Okay, now I have a question. Well, okay, I'll let you get to the like where they figure out stuff, and then I have a question about the Shaw thing.
So Rosemary and Randall, I think it was their last scene together. They were in the Valley Voice office, and this is, I believe, the one when he says that the source, which we'll get to in a second who that is, was threatening him and his family. Like, he received a threatening letter from this person. And as Rosemary is like about to walk out of the office, Randall picks up a hotel receipt with handwriting that matches the letter he received. And the handwriting is none other than Jeanette Ocon. I don't know if I said that right. But...
On that note, am I the only one that it bugs that they call her Jeanette instead of Jeanette, considering the fact it's French?
I know.
Yeah, Jeanette. Yeah.
Hey, my ex-boyfriend was an Aucoin, but they pronounce it Auquin. And when I say ex, I mean like 9th grade high school. But still, like their last name was spelled, but it was they always pronounced it Auquin. But I'm sure the French version, Aucoin. Aucoin. Very pretty.
Yes.
Exactly. But yeah, that bugged me. It's like it should be Jeanette and not Jeanette. But anyway. Yeah.
Yes.
Continue.
So we get to the scene when Rosemary goes to talk to Jeanette, and then Shaw comes in, and then Rosemary's held hostage. Elizabeth comes in, and Rosemary's like, run.
Deja vu. Like, come on.
And then she's held hostage along with Rosemary, and this was brilliantly done, the way that they went back and forth between the scene with them and then Nathan, Bill, Lucas, and Randall, going back and forth.
Agreed. But on that note, when Lucas showed up, and am I the only one that when they're like, you were supposed to stay in town, there's somebody out to get you, whatever. And he's like, well, it's a good thing I have you two to protect me. And they look at each other, and it's like, Elizabeth might as well have shown up, or Rosemary might as well have shown up.
Yeah.
Like, what is it? They would have just as soon had one of the girls show up instead of had Lucas show up.
So
true.
In the scene,
why are they gonna help?
In the part with Nathan, Bill, Lucas, and Randall, Nathan is like, what if Jeanette wasn't his victim? Shaw's victim, that is. What if they're partners? Jeanette has been playing them. And then Lucas says that no one has laid eyes on Shaw except for him and Jeanette. And then it cuts back to, Queen of Hearts and Elizabeth and Rosemary, Jeanette and Shaw. Mm-hmm. Rosemary says that Jeanette has been calling all the shots, and that is the case because Jeanette is Shaw. What?
Yeah.
Mind blown. I totally did not see that coming.
Here's my question, because after that, it goes back to Nathan and Bill and Lucas figures out that Jeanette is Casimir Shaw. Of course, Casimir Shaw, really, a little obvious, but she would have picked a clothing to make a name out of. But anyway.
Oh my gosh. I didn't even think about that, Kerri.
Well, I think it was Morgan that brought it up to me, but I was like, that is so obvious. Yes, that she just dropped a letter.
Oh my gosh. Cashmere Shaw.
Think about that.
Cashmere. I mean, you might as well call him, Satin Pashmina.
Casimir Shaw. Oh my gosh.
Let's call him Satin Pashmina from here on out.
Oh my Lord. What's your question?
Watching Lucas figure that out, and this goes back to what I said earlier. There's a fine line between love and hate, and I see both when I watch Lucas interact with Jeanette. Do you think there was a side of him that was blinded by the feelings that he had for her to not figure that out? Because we know Lucas is a smart person, and we know that Lucas knows Jeanette. So do you think there's a side of him that was blinded and wanted to think the best of her? Do you think there's a side of him that kind of knew but wasn't wanting to admit it? Or what do you think? Because I think Lucas is smarter than that. So for it to take him that long.
Yes, he says in that scene in the Queen of Hearts, he knows that she won't shoot him. He underestimated her, which is why she had to become Shaw. No one would take her seriously, including him. Lucas mentions it's never too late, when talking about apologies. And Lucas also says, you've made some mistakes, sure, but this isn't you.
Well,
I
I
Well,
don't
and
think
he
that.
even tells her, I know you. I know
do
the
know
best
you.
parts of you.
I know the best of you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, he says that then, but he literally chose Montague over her. Like she was his absolute last resort for taking that bid.
Yeah.
So he did not think very like I don't want to say that's contradicting, but it is a little. I mean, it kind of is
Yeah, I see
because
what you're saying.
he was like Henry was like, why not Jeanette? And he's like, I mean, it was always like a stern no, like she's not an option type of deal, to where it was like they were like, well, they say she's on level. He's like, no, like there's no way it's on. Like he kind of had a gut feeling then that it wasn't on level. I don't think he knew she was Cashmere Shaw, but I think that it was a little bit maybe when they got put in that position, like he had put that wall up once he came to Hope Valley, and he put that wall up towards her because he had to move on. And then once it became to where she's holding a gun and he knew she was, he knew she was behind everything and she's holding a gun up to him. And he just takes a second to remember, like he's able to say those things because he did know a different side of her, but she also must have burned him in some way, like to where in the past, to where he knew she was so not like if he chose Montague over, and we're talking about the guy who was going to scam the entire town, like the entire. So I mean that's a big deal. That says a lot that he holds Montague. He held him at a better standard than her.
Yeah.
So I don't think that he was blinded. It was just, I think that was like, I mean, I think that was just a hard one to figure out. That's just my opinion, that she was actually Shaw and behind it all, if that makes sense.
Also, can we give a round of applause to Chris McNally and Cecilia Deacon because they played that?
Yes, I totally agree, Nicole. I completely agree. That was a really great scene, and Chris did so good. He really did.
That was, I think, some of the best
in that scene too.
That was some of the best acting I've ever seen from Chris.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Agreed.
I agree too.
How he checked on Bill after the fact and was like you're gonna be okay. Like,
how are your ribs?
Yeah.
He's like,
I'll
Bill's like, I'll live.
I'll manage. Yeah. But that scene, I'm not gonna lie, I don't necessarily like Jeanette right now, but I would maybe potentially like to see her again as a changed person in the future.
Completely. I would. Even through all of that, I still wasn't like, oh, she's just the devil. I mean, that it's nothing compared to what we felt about Henry for several seasons.
If Henry can change, she can change.
Oh, 100%.
And you seeing the tears, I mean, that there's that she just built up this very hard exterior. There's something she has she needs to go to therapy.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, Lucas even asks her, like, why did you come back? Like, you could have left. Nobody would have known. Like, and she said, we all have our weaknesses. Sherry. Yeah.
Sherry.
Yeah.
Lucas is hers.
So,
yeah.
I keep wanting to use the phrase that he is her kryptonite. I don't know that is the correct wording there, but basically he is the one thing that she wants that she hasn't been able to get.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yes.
She has built up this whole empire for herself to prove that she doesn't need him. That she's above that she is capable of more than that, whatever. And yet she cannot help herself. She keeps coming back to him.
Because the fact that he denied her, like the fact that he sent her away, I mean, she just could not. That was her, that he was her weakness. Because any mobster, or I mean, she's the most wanted person in America, according to a few episodes ago. I mean, like, she's pretty smart. Like, I mean, she made, that was very stupid to go back. And then, she was in the office. So once she told Lucas that, about Shaw, and that Shaw forced me to be there, did to get to you. Well, then he calls in Henry and Nathan and Lee, and like she's there to witness him assigning them, jobs to look for this person, all that. Meanwhile, they all leave to go on this manhunt. She just goes and pours herself a little bit of a whiskey, little whiskey glass, and just Rosemary walks in and she's just chill as a cucumber. I mean, so it's like, she put that all on herself. That's why I was really originally I was confused, because I was like, wait, what was her motive? Because she just seems like she didn't know this was all coming if she stayed around. Like, I was kind of confused about that. But especially during the shootout, like, what did you think was going to happen? I mean, there was no way out. But anyways, it was interesting. They really put a lot of good little good twists on everything. So
yeah, they did.
Agreed.
Really briefly, we didn't see too much of Faith and Lily in this episode. I think really only 2 scenes, but
it was about the stars, the little star nightlight.
That was cute. Yeah. And then and the star nightlight was made by Joseph that Minnie found, which I loved that Minnie offered to find it for Faith and Lily. And then Mike and May, we got those 2 scenes.
The proposal, right?
Yep. And then the one before that, when they get the letter from Bo.
Right.
Yeah.
The one letter. Okay. We still haven't seen the second letter.
It's true. But I will say, like, Morgan had me on FaceTime watching this episode because she just like thought I was gonna fall out on the floor. Apparently my reactions were very very much a letdown for her. I was not as like crazy emotional as she's expecting. I mean, I was excited, but I was cracking up. Like, that proposal was painful to watch. I'm not gonna lie. In an adorable way, just because of how awkward Hickam is. But like,
the fact that he had to like open one eye at a time, like
watching him try to go down on one knee, and it's like he can't even get down on a knee, and then with his eyes closed, and I literally went, I'm expecting one eye to open, and then all of a sudden like, and I'm like, yes.
Yeah, it was a sweet proposal, and y'all know where I stand. I love Mike and May. I think
everybody loves them. It's just it's a very sweet. We're not going to get like the super in-depth part of their relationship, because I mean, they're not the main characters, but they are very important. They're important to the show. But for me, they serve as a really good fluff right now. But we need more families in Hope Valley. Like, the only family, like, we have Lee, Rosemary, and Goldie, the Canfields, and then Ned and Fiona. But other than that, it's like,
you mean Florence?
We don't. I said Ned and Fiona. I meant Florence. You're right. Sorry.
Okay.
But yes. So I'm glad that this is happening. And I will say that for Ben to have, like, Ben is really good at playing a Mike Hickam, but I bet you anything that man, I mean, if he has Aaron Krakow, I promise you, he's not timid and shy Hickam. Like, he's Ben is very much a man. He just has a really good sense of humor, but he's very much a man.
Yeah. I do, before we get into Nathan and Elizabeth, well, this actually pertains to Nathan and Elizabeth, my thought. I do think that Mike and May will get married, but I am not giving up hope yet that Nathan and Elizabeth won't either.
Yeah.
And that is completely valid. I feel like it's valid, Nicole.
It's too easy. I feel like Mike and May are too easy.
There's no way that our finale, I mean, there was episodes where Mike and May weren't even in them, like 2 episodes in a row, you know what I mean? Like, there was at least 2 episodes. So there's no way that Mike and May are our finale. Like, I have like, I promise you, there is going to be something. None of us are gonna see it coming, whatever happens. And I'm not, whether it's a marriage or not, I promise you, the marriage between Mike and May, it's not like everyone's like, oh, Elizabeth and Nathan, it can't happen between them because they wouldn't steal Mike and May's thunder. And I'm like, Elizabeth and Nathan are the storm. Like, that's the storm. Like, Mike and May are like, they're just trying to show us that they're like the main event of the finale. But I promise you,
I mean, how long is that wedding? Event. How long is that wedding going to last? Probably not even 5 minutes.
Well, there's no way that's going to be the climax.
Exactly.
Like, it's going to be a major part of it, but there has to be something else happen with the main characters. That is simple equation, whatever. What word do we keep using that never comes to my mind when we're podcasting and it works any other time? Formula. There we go. Formula. That is simple formula. There has to be something else major.
I mean, we were told expect the unexpected, a wedding like we've never seen before. 2 weddings in 1 episode would be something the show has never done before.
It's true.
Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. I promise you, like, none of it, whatever happens, I really feel like we're just going to be like, this was absolutely not predictable because they haven't given us anything regarding Elizabeth and Nate. They haven't given us anything. They've given us some really cute promo photos, but that's about it. And we have no idea. Like, just like they showed us the kiss, they showed us the almost kiss for episode 11, and everyone was like, are they going to get interrupted or whatever? Who would have been able to predict the speech that she gave before that? I mean, and how shocking that was. So I can only imagine what the finale, that was the penultimate, I can only imagine what the finale is going to have. And I'm so excited.
I have some thoughts after we talk about Nathan and Elizabeth regarding like Nathan and Elizabeth and the cliffhanger, but we will get to that in a minute. Because
I know we need to not take too long, Nicole. Yeah, you have recording after this, but the
Rosemary and Bill saying what we all have been saying.
Yes,
it's downright trepidatious.
Yes.
Oh my god.
But no, the fact that, and I will say this, that how stuff keeps coming up for Nathan and Elizabeth, it's kind of how it is with me and my husband right now, because it's like something just keeps happening. We still haven't even got to go on a honeymoon yet. Like, every time we start trying to plan something, even if it's just a date night or whatever, something ends up coming up. So, like, I can 100% relate to them, but at the same time, I do agree with them that, like, with Elizabeth or with Rosemary and Bill, kind of, hey, you're gonna have to just make this happen. Like, you're gonna have to take some kind of step to not be moving like molasses.
You really do move like molasses in January, pal.
Although I cannot blame Nathan for how he feels about that.
I can't.
The last time I took a step here, it did not go so well. So, whatever. So
I'm letting her take the lead.
Yeah. I love how she asked him on the date and he's like, do you want some company? And she's like, if you can get away. He's like, I think I can get away.
Yeah. And then, of course, Henry comes along and ruins the whole thing.
And his face was like, well, see what I mean? Like, I'm jinxing everything.
Also, before we actually saw that full scene, I had a good feeling that it had to do with the past.
Oh, I want to say this. So, you know how Bill, when it was Nathan and Bill were in the office and Bill was like, you haven't told Elizabeth? And he was like, no, why would I? I don't think that was like something impersonable. It was just, he wasn't going to take that step with her of like sharing those, like the intimate details of his work until she took more of a lead. And he felt but now I promise you now, like that woman is going to know about every detail of any Mountie business going on. Like
That she
whatever
can't,
is his business is her business, and he's going to be an open book to her. But he just needed that clarification from her, and he even said like it's up to her to take the lead. But when he said that, you know, like, why would I? It wasn't that he was like dismissing her or anything like that. It's just that he was still waiting on that final opening of like, we're sharing this just like any married couple would, you know what I mean? So from now on, like, like I said, there's no Mountie business that Elizabeth isn't going to be in on.
He'll share as much as he can share, of course, because I know some stuff like he's probably not able to share.
Well, and I mean, Jack told her that in season 2 that there are certain parts of his job that she cannot know about, and that it's not that he doesn't want to tell her, but like
he just can't.
There are certain things that he can't disclose, you know, whatever. So I've already seen that with Jack as well. But yeah, I loved, like you said, I loved the fact that we saw Rosemary and Bill both saying what we've all been saying for a few seasons now.
I love the reaction from Lee and Rosemary when they find out she's going on a ride, and they're like, oh. And then Lee walks away and he's like, so cute. That's all the Hearties.
So one next equine
exercise at one's peril.
At one's own peril, one does.
that made me laugh, and it still does. Like, that is so funny.
Yeah. Also,
she's so theatrical. She can't help herself.
Yeah.
I know, it's adorable.
Elizabeth and Rosemary, and this is when they talk about Nathan and, you know, the ride being canceled and whether something happened between them. And Elizabeth says, I don't know, I've been so happy thinking about a future with Nathan that I suppose I convinced myself that what happened between us in the past didn't matter anymore. I think it does. And then, you know, in unison, they're like, I need to talk to him.
Duh. Well, like, really?
Yeah, that was a good scene, though.
It was such a good scene because it let us know that we were headed to that, you know what I mean? Yeah. But at the same time, it was also like, I don't know. It was just like, wouldn't anybody know that there was that? But yeah, I do like how they set it up, though.
Yes.
Yeah. I think we've said this 100 times. Lindsay is redeeming
everything.
This show. She is absolutely redeeming everything with this.
Yes.
But
sorry, go ahead.
Was there something in particular you were gonna?
Oh no, go ahead. You can finish. Yeah.
Oh no, I was just gonna trying to help on that time crunch.
Yeah.
But when I love the fact that this scene they're wearing essentially the same clothing, like Elizabeth is. Nathan,
he's wearing the exact same shirt.
A different one.
She's wearing the exact same shirt. Yeah,
a similar one.
He's wearing a similar one. Hers is exactly the same.
Yeah, hers is.
When he told her he was in love with her.
Yes.
And then when she finally has that confession, she's wearing that same shirt.
No, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Okay, I wanted to hear what you were saying. Because of I've been seeing a lot of flashback scenes of season 8, episode 2, when he confesses his love.
Yeah.
I don't know if Kevin can talk. I mean, his acting in that scene, I mean, it was, I'm sorry, like, there was no comparison with anything. And, you know, this isn't, I don't want to be controversial, but it was like, we never saw anything that raw and real between Elizabeth and Lucas, even in season 9. And that scene, you couldn't take it away. It was all anyone could ever look at, because it was clear she wasn't denying her love for him. Everything about season 8 was her showing fear. And that's why the final episode didn't make sense to so many people, the fan base, that it didn't make sense. And so, but Nathan, like, I love seeing the fact that like that scene, I'm like, it deserves to be brought to light again over and over because I'm seeing it a lot on social media right now. And he did so well.
He did.
It was probably one of the most beautiful scenes the way he said it and the way his voice cracked.
Oh,
His voice cracked. Like and the way she was able to ride away on a horse. Like, I mean, you can't recreate that magic. Like, it was like we're going to do this. Oh, I still, that will be one of my all-time favorite scenes of the entire, no matter what season When Calls the Heart gets to, it will be one of the best scenes to ever go down in history. And so will this one, the scene at the church.
Yes. And before we get to that one, we really do need to talk about the scene when he saves her. And I love, like before they take the jump, they are communicating so much with their eyes. I'm not even joking.
Yeah. Like he's like looks and she's just like, okay. Like she gives him
Let's do this. Yeah.
Okay, sure. Like, you know.
And then they take the jump and they fall in the hay and they're lying in the hay with the arm around each other, which is definite foreshadowing to them as a married couple waking up next to each other.
I hope we get scenes like that. I hope we get like, obviously it's Hallmark. We're not going to do too much Hallmark After Dark, as Suspenders and Buttons says.
I feel like we'll at least get some like wedding.
I mean, we saw in the wedding veil, or like again, we keep talking about how Kevin is seeming like Charles Ingalls in this. We saw scenes in Little House on the Prairie, or it can be very tastefully done.
Yeah, it can.
Exactly. And so I think so too, where it's going to be like these two are waking up to each other every day. There's no more saying goodnight at the porch. It's good night, you know, like in their own bed, and they get to.
Are we going to get to see her carry her across the threshold? Because we never got to see that with Jack.
Yes, please, please, please. I was so ticked they cut that scene. I was so ticked. But also the check-in with each other. Maybe it's just me, but if you look really closely, I feel like you can see Nathan kind of lean in like he's going to kiss her. But very subtly. It's very subtle. And then the be safe.
Well, because he wants to.
Yeah.
In that, like you can see the tension is there.
Yes. And then we got the be safe comment again.
It's been there since like seasons 6 and 7. No.
Yes.
I like
the Christmas tree scene. Like there's always been like they want to kiss.
Yep. Yep. And I love how they said be safe. And that leads into the porch scene. How about we just talk about that?
Yep, let's get there.
Do you have her
yes, I do. Yes, I do.
Let's start off with that.
And before I read before I read what she actually said in the episode, I feel like I also need to read the part of the script that Brian tweeted because it was improvised. And what actually was on screen was so much better than what was in the original script. Are you serious?
Because what Brian shared on Twitter, I was like, I just didn't think it was like, no, because I didn't see what he shared until after I had seen what Aaron Kraker, acted out.
Yeah.
What Elizabeth said. And I was thinking, oh, great. Like, because I'm like, oh, there's so many like haters who are just on Twitter and they're reading this and then they're dissecting it. I'm like, no, it was 10 times better.
Yeah, she had to have improvised that. But here's what Brian, like the screenshot of what Brian posted from, I guess, the original script. Please let me say this. You're right. We've both had bad timing. Once you were ready and I wasn't. I need to tell you how sorry I am for hurting you, for letting fear get in the way. If you knew how my heart lifts when I think of you, how I think of you all the time, the way you look in suspenders, the way your brow furrows, the way I look for your eyes across a room, the way you feel like home to me. Oh, Nathan, my biggest regret is letting fear stop me from telling you from telling you that I am in love with you too. Now, that's what was in the original script.
It was very different. I mean, it's
baseline. That's a good baseline to go off of.
Yes.
But what she said was so much better. Go ahead.
Yes. Well, I'll start off with her journal entry. After a night like tonight, all I want to do is count my blessings. Everyone I care about is safe. I know in time, thoughts of what could have been will fade away, but love will remain, as constant as the stars. It's much a part of our beings as a breath or a heartbeat and I love how the journal entry just stops when Nathan shows up. And then, he says, go ahead.
Yeah. I want to talk about this. I was waiting to bring this up until we got to this point. So, while she's reading her journal entry, we see a montage of clips of we see Faith and Lily. We see the Canfields. We see the Coulters. Who else? Nathan and Allie hug.
Yeah.
We see Elizabeth. And I did see on Twitter, Mike and May. And I did see on Twitter where there's a Team Lucas people, they were upset that somehow Lucas wasn't in that montage. They could have made something. And I will play devil's advocate here or advocate for them. I actually agree. I feel like they should have had a scene of I absolutely he was such an integral part of the shootout. Like the whole thing was about him, and they should have had a scene, whether it was him and Henry sitting at the bar sharing a drink, whatever. There should have been. I do feel like Lucas should have been in that montage. And other than the Canfields had nothing to do with that shootout. I mean, obviously that was a cute scene of them, but I do agree that Lucas should have been in that montage. I really do.
Yeah.
The only reason I disagree with you, because I do agree with you on a personal level, the only reason I'll disagree with you on that is because I think some people would have taken that as still having hope that she was back with Lucas, and this makes it obvious that's never going to happen. So that's the only the flip side of that. On a personal level, I agree with you because she still does very much about Lucas, and he's still a very major part of the show. And when you start talking, I had the same thought of Lucas and Henry together, hey, let's figure this out, whatever. But that's the only reason I can see why they wouldn't have.
Yeah, I'm with you, Kerri. But anyway, Nathan comes by to check on her, and he says, if something would have happened to you today, and then, she says it didn't. But it could have.
She just again proved that being a school teacher is just as dangerous as being a Mountie.
Yeah. And then here it is. We both had bad timing. Once you were ready and I wasn't. I am so sorry for hurting you, for letting fear get in the way. If you only knew how my heart lifts when I think of you, and I think of you often, of the way you've always been honest with me and gently encouraged me to be honest with myself. The way you always seem to know when there's something on my mind. The way your brow furrows when there's something on yours. You are a good man, an impeccable man. You are a man who looks distractingly good in serge or suspenders. It's your eyes I look for across a crowded room. It's your heart that makes me feel brave. You feel like home to me. I couldn't say it before. I wouldn't let myself. So let me tell you now, Nathan, I'm in love with you. And then, I have never stopped loving you, not for a single second.
Oh my gosh. Okay, we have talked about this how many times?
That man could kiss.
Yes.
And can you believe that there is a very big podcast talking about Kevin right now, saying they need to work on this, that he's doing fish kisses, and that Aaron has it down, her and Lucas had it down, but Kevin, they're going to have an intimacy coach that hopefully will work on this with them. And I'm like,
no.
Lucas kisses were painful to watch. Come on.
I agree, and that is not because it would be would say, oh, it's because you're biased, but I'm serious. No, like this was one of the most natural kisses we have seen on this show.
Mm-hmm.
And
the fact that they gave us that close up of his hands, like linking
oh
together.
my gosh.
And then, yes, I will say it. As a married woman, the hand to the face, like I can be mad at him and like chewing him out over something, and him like do like this right here, lean into kiss. Literally, the second his hand touches my face, I like melt. Like there is something about that. I cannot stay mad. That is my favorite.
I always hoped that when they had their first kiss, there would be a hand on the face, and we got it. Like,
yes.
And I did not want some like running to each other kiss. Like it was exactly what I wanted their kiss to be like him creeping up to her and it being very slow and delicate, because it was like, and then it was perfect because he said, I've never stopped loving you, not even for a second. And then it became a little bit more intense. But like, it was exactly what we wanted. And I can't wait for more. Like, I can't wait.
Yeah, I can't wait for more.
Exactly.
It's more, here's the thing. Like, we are not a fan base who is like, oh, we just want kisses and that type of thing. It's the in-depth conversations. It is like to show what a real relationship looks like, to be like completely intertwined and into one another, where it's like you're each other's other half, and it's played out on the screen for us to watch. That's what fuels us.
We have been this invested in their relationship for 5 years without any.
I've had two kids since this has all happened, just so y'all know. Like, my second one, my second child was she was a newborn during the season 8 finale, which we were all FaceTiming each other privately, and it was like
3 a.m.
Oh my god, no, until 5.
It was a big deal. Like it was a complete destruction of a fan base. Destruction. And then here we are. That was almost, I don't know, season 8. I mean, here I am. The age difference between my second and my baby now is like 3.5 years. And so I've already had another kid. I mean, it's just crazy. Like, but here we are.
Yes.
Yeah. Exactly. So yeah, the fact that we can be that invested in their relationship for this long with none of that. Yes, we're girls. We're helpless romantics. We're gonna geek out over this stuff. We may or may not have analyzed who is the best Hallmark kisser, all of this, whatever.
Him.
Can you confirm or deny?
Him and Eric Navius.
Yeah.
Top 2 best Hallmark kissers.
But no, like legit. Hers and Luca's first kiss, she literally kissed his beard. Like, come on. She had missed his lip completely. So, and then they used that.
Someone said this. So, the scene after the bridge where it shows them like with like shears everywhere, like sheer cloth everywhere and lights and then first of all, like what is that? But someone just said recently that they call that the funeral parlor scene.
Yeah.
Because they said it reminded them of a funeral parlor.
Yeah.
Oh well, I mean, it was the death of the show in a lot of ways, but
But down to the dress she was wearing. I mean, it was like this. We were not seeing our Elizabeth.
No.
And just like she said in episode 11, you feel like home to me.
Yeah.
That's everything you need to know. And Lucas was made for a bigger stage, and I'm so happy for where his character's going and where it has been already, and like him becoming governor and put in this role because I just think it's great for him. I really do.
Yeah. And as we like move into, the finale just a little bit before we wrap up, I just have to say, I know a lot of people want Nathan and Elizabeth to get married. this week. I still think it's possible. I'm not giving up hope yet. I still think it's very possible. But they will be married, whether it's, I don't think, like, they're not going to break up Nathan and Elizabeth. They will get married at some point, whether it's this week or in season 12. It will happen.
No, they are completely locked in as a couple.
Speaking of season 12, though, they're already starting wardrobe fittings for season 12. So yeah, that's already they're going to start filming that before too long. But yeah, I agree. 100%.
If they were like, if something were going to happen, which of course it's not, I don't think Kevin and Aaron would be this excited and happy.
Or going into their press.
Yeah.
That's another thing I want to say is the difference between their interviews after season 8 compared to their interviews now. Like Kevin, you can go look at some interviews of him and Aaron, and they were very like, you could just tell there was this vibe. There was like kind of a little bit of a cloud over them.
Yeah.
And now they're open. They're like, yeah, like they're popping out words like soulmates and like this shouldn't be a surprise and like, you know, that type of thing. So it says a lot.
Yeah. And moving into episode 12, what are y'all's predictions for the cliffhanger now that we know that Hargraves is back?
I still want to see Nathan like bust Hargraves over something.
Hey y'all,
like,
my phone's at 1%, so I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna say bye. But
all right.
Yeah, because I would hate for it just to click out, but I had so much fun.
Yeah, it's always fun, Amy. We love you.
Bye, y'all.
Bye. But yeah, I would not be surprised to see the transfer thing come up, and we've already seen Nathan say that he would be willing to quit the Mounties. So is he going to be faced with that?
I think that's going to come. I think that's going to come up again.
Yeah.
And okay, here's what my prediction is. I think it's going to be a transfer or a promotion based on the whole thing with, you know, him saving the town.
It could be a promotion
with Jeanette, and he's going to offer to give up the Mounties again if it's like a transfer, or, you know, something out of town, away from Hope Valley. And, you know, of course, Elizabeth is not going to want that. She's going to drop everything to go with him. But for her to do that, she has to be married to him. So, yeah.
But I don't see them leaving Hope Valley. So, like,
no, they're not. No, they're not going to leave, of course.
Yeah.
Like, something will come up where they'd be able to stay if it is a transfer or a promotion.
Yeah. And of course, we already went through this with Jack in season 1.
Yeah.
So we know they can handle that.
Yeah, I mean, they're not leaving. Something will come up.
I love that we're getting Fiona back in the finale.
Yes. Though. Yeah.
Yes.
But anyway, I do think there's something just feels off with it just being Mike and May. Like, it feels like there's something they're keeping under wraps big with Nathan and Elizabeth that we don't know
there has
yet.
to be something. There has to be something, whatever that is, whether wedding or whatever.
Or engagement / decision to marry, you know, going into season 12 for the actual wedding.
We know we've seen that one little sneak preview where Nathan's asking Elizabeth, "Are you asking me if I believe in soulmates?"
Or fate, yeah.
So I don't know. I'm very curious to see. I'm sad.
I know. I don't want to wait another year.
But this will give us a chance to go back and start recapping some of the earlier seasons and stuff, because we never even got to recap season 10 on here. So I'm excited to get to do all that.
And just one more thing, like another thing. I don't think like they would be like, if Nathan and Elizabeth weren't eventually going to get married, which of course they are, I don't think that they'd be telling the kids about their relationship. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And also, just one more fun question. What do you think their secrets are going to be, according to that preview, which was adorable?
Ooh. I don't know. Honestly, like I really have nothing on that. I've tried to think, but I have nothing.
I don't know. I'm excited to find out. Parties.
Yeah,
if you
let
have
us
any
know.
thoughts, let us know in the comments.
Absolutely. And one other quick thing, another thing I will be doing after this season ends is starting to cover some things, doing some interviews and whatever with the Mayberry Man projects. Because y'all know I got to work on that a couple of years ago, and Mayberry Man the series is on Up Faith and Family right now. So, and actually our Mayberry Man's leading lady is at this very moment filming a movie with Trevor Donovan and Colin
Ecclesfield.
Thank you. I always get caught up on his last, but so I'm super excited for that. So I will be doing that as well.
That's awesome. And Rob Mays is in it too, which I met him at Rama Drama. He's such a nice guy. And Trevor is too, and Colin. I met all three of them at Rama Drama.
Yeah. And fun fact, actually, too, though, the assistant director from the Mayberry Man movies is working on this project with her as well. I'm like, hey, here's my invite. Like, come on. But I'm super excited.
Yes, me too.
Cannot wait for the finale next week, though.
Yeah. Yes, me too. It's going to be a good one. Oh, and I forgot. This is another thing. I just remembered this before we wrap up. I haven't watched it yet, but apparently in Derek Thompson's interview that was posted last night with Heart to Hearties, he said that, what was it? This last episode, let's see, what was it that was said in my group chat? Let's see. Well, I can't find it, but he said here it is. Derek said that the finale makes him think of Etta James' song At Last. Very romantic, bluesy, mature sound to that song, both lyrically and vocally. At Last does not have a Mike and May feel.
No, that's 100%
Nathan and Elizabeth.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yes,
I cannot wait to see what they have for us next week.
Yes.
Morgan, we missed you.
Yes,
unfortunately,
we love you. Yeah.
With work. But we will be back again next week. Yeah. And yes, sad, but excited at the same time. So,
yes.
But we love you guys.
Yes,
thank
you
you
y'all
again, and we will see y'all again next week.
Bye.
Bye, guys.